This is the Maddox valve spring compressor from Harbor Freight. I'm doing a head gasket on my 04 Ram. The gasket set came with valve stem seals, so in order to take the keepers out, I need some sort of tool to do that. I thought about renting the larger spring compressor from AutoZone, but for $11 to have my own, well, that's just too good of a deal. Hopefully it lives up to the hype, and the $11 isn't a sign of, I don't know, maybe a crappy tool. Let's find out. Let's open it up. Link to the Warrior cutter right there. Okay, we've got a spring-loaded plate in the center, so it kind of articulates in the middle on these two jaws here. The big spinny wheel at the top is what compresses the spring, so you basically just start up at the backed furthest off position, set it on the valves, and then compress springs. Let me get the head. So this is the head out of my 04 Dodge Ram 1500 with a 5.7 Hemi. Like I was saying, I am doing a cylinder head job. This engine has 250,000 miles on it, so you see a lot of burned oil and a lot of sludge in here. I'm gonna clean all that stuff off. That's not the main point of the video. The point is, since I've got new valve stem seals and I have the head, you gotta do it, right? I mean, you have to. So I needed a way to compress this spring, and that's where this guy comes in. As I look at the springs, each one has a little guard on the side. So here's what that little protector looks like. I got it off of cylinder 7 exhaust, pretty easy. So I'll try to do the same thing for this one. If you just kind of get a screwdriver in behind one edge of it, I don't really like prying on the valve with a spring, so this is a little bit out of my comfort zone. Now everybody's spring situation is going to be a little bit different, but if you do have these protectors, looks like they're gonna have to come off before you can use the spring compressor. All right, let's try this again. It goes much further down in there, which is nice. Make sure that you are on the keeper. It's probably the hardest part about this whole process, is making sure you are on the actual inner part of the spring. And then kind of shove it together with your fingers to make sure the tool has a proper bite. I'm gonna hold it from up top so you guys can see what happens when I compress this. Okay, it's shifting up and down because I have the spring compressed. That's a good sign. I don't want to go too far with it, just enough to get the keepers out. I don't want it to go down, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take a rag, and there you go. Took a little bit of force, as you could see, but once I got it unseated, take something small that's magnetic, or something big that's super magnetic. Okay, looks like we need to go a little bit more. And there we go. We have keeper number 1, keeper number 2, and that's what our spring looks like. It's a little bit off center. It should be fine. I understand if there's hesitation here about that, but hey, it got the keepers out and it got the valve springs compressed. So very carefully, I'm just gonna set this to the side. You don't wanna drop that or anything and have the spring come flying out at you. Then if you lift up your head, we've got our exhaust valve. And then the seal just comes right up out of it. And that's it. Take the new seal. I like to put a little bit of oil on there. Won't hurt to have some fresh lube going in. Clean that area up real good. Once it's all lubed up, set it in place. If you want to use a deep socket, you can give her a little taparoo. I don't think anybody would be upset about that. So we got our new valve seal in there. Don't have to worry about that anymore. Okay, then we're going to take the compressed spring that we had earlier, set it up on there. I do want to make sure I have something on the bottom side of the valve so it doesn't want to drop. Then you take your 2 keepers. I like to use something that's just slightly magnetic, but not overbearingly so, to help me get the keepers in place. That one looks good. See how it's sitting up on that highest ridge? That's what you're shooting for. The valve has 3 recesses in it. The keeper has 3 recesses in it. So you just try to match those up the best you can. When you get done, they should be at the uppermost portion of the valve. Then we're ready to start backing off the compressor. It was a bit tight there. I am just using the screwdriver so that it doesn't want to spin on me. So once you're at this stage, just make sure your keepers are still in the same spot. They should look identical to the valve next door as far as how much they stick out and all that. And once this thing starts to freewheel, that's it. You just need to get it out from your spring. Check to make sure everything looks okay. It looks identical to all of the other ones. And before I go throwing these back on there, I'm gonna do a little research and see if I actually need them. I don't see why you would need them. I've never seen valve spring protector sleeves before, but hey, maybe it's something I don't know about. Let's try number 3 exhaust just to make sure that wasn't a fluke. First thing to do is pull that protector off. Valve spring compressor is all the way backed off. This tool reminds me a lot of like a ball joint press. So if you've ever used one of those, you know that once it's got a bite on something, the tighter I do up the adjuster at the top, the more bite these jaws are gonna have. So once you have them secured, I don't think there's a lot to worry about. Okay, that valve's coming up and down, but it doesn't look all that good. I move my rag over. All right, make sure I got a better bite that time. And again, just using the screwdriver so that it doesn't spin while I compress it. This one's being a bit stubborn. Put some oil on these guys, let them sit for a bit. All right, a little bit of oil did the trick there. See how the keeper is free from the retainers? That's what you want. And again, just go far enough to where you can get the keepers out. You may get lucky if you can spin these around. There we go, keeper 1. Once you get that first one out, you have a little bit more playroom. But if all else fails, just move it to the side that was being good to you. There's keeper 2. There's our spring. See how those fingers are thoroughly wedged into the coil? That's what you want to try to achieve here. A little bit of Earl. That's a lot of Earl, that's okay. If it's all nasty in there, make sure you clean it off. All we're gonna do is put this one over the top of it, press it down, get our absolutely designed for that socket till you hear it bottom out. And then now it's our compressed spring again. We'll try our luck with keeper number 1. Number 1 is in. I'm gonna try to shuffle it to the other side. And then let's try number 2. Okay, I need to go a little bit more here. It's struggling to get in. Here we go. Both keepers are in. Now let me back this off. Keep an eye on the keepers, make sure they don't move. Looking good so far. I won't bore you all with the rest of the valve seal installation. Valve spring compressor, $10.99. So for 11 bucks, definitely worth it. You might have seen the big C-shaped ones, kind of looks like a giant one of those. Those work great, those are fine. If you ever ran into an issue where you had a broken spring while the head was installed, you don't need to do a head gasket, you don't need to do anything else, you just gotta replace that friggin' spring. That's where these tools really shine. The bigger ones, the clamps, work good if you have access to the top and the bottom. But with something like this, you can take the valve keepers out while it's still installed on the engine. Just make sure that whatever cylinder you're doing is at TDC compression so the piston is up. If you take that out and that piston is down, your valve may fall into the cylinder. So be careful. This tool did a really great job. I gotta say, I'm a little surprised. I've had some of these in the past that have really sucked, for lack of a better word, but this one, I've already got 2 down, 6 to go. I don't think it'll take that long at all. If you've ever used this spring compressor or this style of spring compressor, leave a comment down below. Let me know what you think of them. I think this compressor from Maddox is a bargain. I know I destroyed the box, but there is the part number for you, MD1A1, available at Harbor Freight right now. I hope you enjoyed the video. As always, thank you for watching.